This channel supports Extra Life in its efforts to raise money for the Children's Miracle Network. For more information about how to donate and join in their efforts, go to the link displayed here. Extra Life. Play games, heal kids.
What up, everybody? This is your boy Black Magus, and at the day of this recording, something very tragic happened in Jacksonville, Florida. There was a Madden tournament. For those who don't know what Madden is a football video game, and they hold competitive tournaments around the country. And there was one, I think, around the world too, to be quite honest. But there was one in Jacksonville, Florida today, and someone came in and started shooting up the place. We had another mass shooting in the United States. Yeah. How many is that within since the beginning of the year? It's it's too many, just too many. One is too many, but it is far too many that we've had. Be it a school, a mall, or now a video game tournament. And of course, the raging debate is going on about gun violence, gun control, and things like that. I think I've said my piece about that. I am all for better gun regulations, and you know, I don't understand why some people get upset when people say we need better gun laws. It boggles the mind that you could see things like this happen and not think that we have a gun issue in this country. There is something really, really wrong with the accessibility of guns in this country. It seems like just about anybody can get their hand on a gun to do these things, and something needs to change. I mean, granted, I can understand some people who feel like a lot of us are overreacting, but at the same time, it's this is a really serious issue and a really serious pattern that probably needs someone to overreact, because it doesn't seem like anybody wants to react at all. You know what I mean? It happens. Everybody says thoughts and prayers. We move on to the next one. There needs to be something substantially done. Would I love a ban on guns? Sure. Me personally, I don't see the purpose of having a society where people are allowed to walk around with, I would say, not all guns, but certain guns at least. That's why I say I'm more for regulation. Because even as someone who's not a fan of guns, I can't say just totally take it away. Or if you're gonna do that, you have to gradually ease into that at least, because you know how people are. You know how we are. We do not like not having something, whether we use it or not. Just saw this thing happen over the past week with stuff like the Twitch Prime and all of that. So, it's something that happens all the time in society. So, but there needs to be an adjustment. That being said, here's the thing that needs to be adjusted too. Now, the reason why I did this video and I spoke my piece is because I'm not a big YouTuber by no means, but at the same time, I understand that being on YouTube and having even the modest following that I have, getting the 10 to 20 views a video that I get, I can at least spark a conversation or reach someone. Hopefully, someone out there likes me enough to continue to watch, and if I can kind of start a conversation on something as serious as this, and maybe put a positive word in their ear, or we could have a frank discussion about political and social issues, I'm all for it. But a lot of content creators don't like to do that because they don't want to disturb the peace, I guess. I've heard everything. It's we just don't like to have political talk discussions in our groups. People get too personal and riled up, and I don't want to have that. I'm trying to build a positive community, and I don't want infighting, and things like that. I understand that. I can understand this not wanting to cause problems, because the internet is a problem. People on the internet can be a serious problem. People don't seem to know how to have serious discussions anymore. It's just a bunch of like yelling back and forth and just obnoxious trolling and things like that when it comes to things that are serious. One side or the other feels the need to be belligerent, to be, chaotic, just be disrespectful for no reason. All of that just because they want their point to be the one that everybody holds, and they want no opposition. Life don't work like that. Life never will work like that. Those people are deluded, but at the same time, they kind of win because we have a situation where, especially celebrities of any type, to be quite honest, not just content creators, but you have an effect where you get a lot of people who just don't want to get into that conversation because they don't want to face that type of reaction, or they don't want to lose out on profit. A lot of times it's because, to be quite honest, it's a idea of, is this going to cost me my profit? Is my opinion going to cost me money? Because in truth, there are people out there who will not support you, unsub, do all that stuff because you don't feel the same way that they feel about certain social and political issues. There's always been a standing rule, like a standing quote unquote rule, not rule, but a silent rule, like in retail where I used to work, where you don't discuss politics, politics or religion with customers. And it's like, okay, it's a very understandable point because you don't want to alienate a potential customer. And I feel like that's the attitude that's been adopted by content creators. But I don't think that attitude should necessarily maintain. Because the platform that you're given, especially the bigger you get, you have a platform to reach people about a lot of things. And we all kind of can discern right from wrong, even though some of us choose to dismiss it or to act like we don't know. We all have the ability. Well, I won't say all. Most of us have the ability to discern from right or wrong. Again, some of us can't because of whatever mental issues that we have. But the majority of us who like to pretend like we don't understand right or wrong, do so because it benefits them. So I don't know if I see that much of a problem with a big YouTuber actually giving a strong opinion on something, especially something like this, the gun issue. There is something very, really wrong that's going on. There's a problem with why all of these people are able to get access to these guns and do these things. Like, even if you don't want to go into the whole Second Amendment argument, there is a strong statement to be made about the way that events are secured. I understand it's a video game event and you may not think that something would happen, but given the state of affairs in the world today and knowing how we've had, again, not just school shootings, but malls, the nightclub last year, the concert, places where you probably would not even think about going and worrying about someone going on a rampage with a gun. It's happening. Movie theaters, everywhere. And the security of these things need to be addressed, especially when you have large crowds like this. I mean, it probably wasn't like a extremely huge crowd, but I'm sure it was a few hundred people there at least to see this tournament because Madden's a big thing. When you have a few hundred people, you can't be lax in security. I'm curious to know how good was the security, because I've heard from many people who talked about conventions they've gone through how security tends to be a joke. We've all seen that video of that security guard at I don't know if it was a college football game, pro football game, or whatever event it was. He was doing the wave the hand thing when he was patting people down. He wasn't really even trying to pat people down. Very much, I could have walked in there with an AK-47 and he would have been like, go ahead, even though the barrel's sticking out of my coat or something, because he wasn't really paying attention. But there's something that you can make a strong statement on. You can make a strong statement on the fact that this needs to stop and people need to address this and find out what's the issue. You don't necessarily need to pick a side, but you should at least acknowledge that there's a problem and let it be known that you think that something needs to be done if you feel that way. Now, I'm not saying if you don't feel that way, you shouldn't do that either. Although if you don't feel that way, you feel like you need to express that, you should feel like you have the right to. I understand you don't want to risk your finances, but sometimes when it's something like this, especially when you can talk to a large amount of people who may be going through some things, may have some mental health issues and stuff like that, you can say something like, please don't be like this guy and do this. This is not a cool thing to do. This is something that is a problem and we need to discuss it. You know, and just more than just, oh my man, my thoughts and prayers to those people. I like when people make a profound statement, or at least give a profound opinion. And I feel like too many people are way too afraid to do that. Like if you've seen my Twitter, I say all types of stuff because I feel like that's what it should be for serious discussion. Serious discussion is something that we don't have enough in this world. And I know I'm repeating myself because I've said that before, but it's something that we really need to address. First, it's like being able to have a serious discussion and disagree without it boiling down into madness. I know it's the hardest thing in the world to think of, but you can do it. And I think as content creators, we kind of have some control in a way. Like, sure, anybody could come and look at our videos and stuff like that, but we don't have to put up with anything that we find uncomfortable or insensitive. There are ways to report and things like that. And when you're a public figure, you're so willing to be putting yourself in the scope of the public eye for the benefit of your career. But you have to accept a little bit of, like, I won't say responsibility, but accept a little bit of the burden that someone's going to ask you to speak on something serious, and you may have to take a stand on something eventually. You can't just neutralize yourself from the world. That's the thing. Too many of us content creators are trying to stay just totally neutral from the world when the world's going around us, and there's people who are dealing with things that we probably feel like, I don't know, we don't need to deal with. Like, again, I'm not a big commentator, so I don't that what I'm saying probably doesn't necessarily pertain to me, and I'm just basically trying to speculate on what it must be for someone big, like, because I don't understand it. I don't understand, like, when you have that. Like, I've seen so many people do charity things and all of that. Like, why can't we be vocal advocates? But again, part of me understands because we've seen blowback from people. Colin Kaepernick, the biggest example, who took a stand publicly and paid for it. I understand the fear of the risk, but sometimes you gotta be damn that in certain things. There's certain things that I feel like you should not shy away from. This being one of them, and there's many other things child molestation, and all that. Don't shy away from stuff like that. Don't shy away from racial things, because if you don't believe in racism, you should always speak out on it and want to have that discussion. Always in my mind, because that's and a lot of times that's what they want you to do anyways, to shut up. Just just like Fox told LeBron, shut up and dribble. They want you to just shut up and stream. And it shouldn't necessarily be like that. You should be able to have discussions with your chat, real serious topics and things like that. But I don't know. That's just me. I kind of just wish we were a much more open society when it comes to conversation. I really do, because it bugs me to no end that this and many other topics tend to go to the wayside within, YouTube, Twitch community, where people could really, really make a statement and help. If not on your stream, use your social media that way. I say, if you feel that uncomfortable to use on your stream, your videos or whatever, use your Twitter, all that stuff, to just express how you truly feel. Something. to show that you have a voice beyond just entertainment. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents on that. As always, you guys feel free to hit me up. Let me know what you're thinking. I'll holler at you later. This your boy Black Makers, and I'm out. Deuces.